Your most important job in life isn't your career, it's the radical act of becoming a truly autonomous human being. Welcome back to the show. It's good to have you here. Today, I want to take you on a journey. It's a journey that starts in a very specific place, geographically speaking. But it ends somewhere entirely different, somewhere deep inside your own chest, inside your own mind. We are going to deconstruct a book called Đúng Việc, or, roughly translated, right work. Now, before you tune out thinking this is a productivity hack or a guide on how to get promoted, stop. It's not. This is a manifesto. It is a diagnostic report on the human soul and the crumbling architecture of modern society. It asks the terrifyingly simple questions that we usually pour wine to avoid answering. Who are you? What are you doing here? And why does the world feel so incredibly messy right now? Let's start in London. Trafalgar Square. Imagine standing there. It's grey, it's bustling, tourists are everywhere. You look up at that massive column, the one dedicated to Admiral Nelson. And at the foot of that column, there is an inscription. It reads, England expects that every man will do his duty. The author of our book starts right there. He looks at that sentence, and he realizes something profound. That sentence wasn't just about a naval battle in the 19th century. It wasn't just about loading cannons or hoisting sails. It is a timeless, aching call to humanity. The duty mentioned there isn't about obeying an order, it's about fulfilling a role. It's about the idea that the universe, or society, or existence itself, expects you to do the thing you were designed to do. But here is the problem. Here is the crisis that the author identifies immediately. We are living in a time of war. But look around you. There are no swords, there are no trenches, the gunfire is silent. This is a war of values. The author argues that our society is in chaos, absolute chaos, not because of the economy or technology, but because the ladder of values has been overturned. We are seeing a world where teachers aren't truly teachers, they're just selling information. Leaders aren't truly leaders, they are power brokers. Intellectuals aren't guiding lights, they are, as the author puts it, intellectual slaves. The diagnosis is terminal. The root cause of all our social maladies is that people have lost sight of the true value of things. We are failing to do our right work. So, what is the right work? The book breaks this down into 3 massive pillars. Think of these as the 3 jobs you have to hold down simultaneously just to justify your existence on this planet. Job number 1, Lam Nu, being a human. Job number 2, Lam Dan, being a citizen. Job number 3, Lam Việc, being a professional. The logic here is brutal and beautiful. You cannot be a good professional if you are a bad citizen. And you cannot be a good citizen if you don't even know what it means to be a human. The author quotes Mahatma Gandhi. Be the change you wish to see in the world. And the Vietnamese reformer Phan Chau Trinh An. Self-enlightenment. The argument is that society changes only when the individual ego, the self, changes. So, let's go deep. Let's dive into that first pillar, being a human. It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? If I asked you, are you a human? You'd look at me like I was insane. Of course I'm a human, look at my DNA. But the book challenges this biological arrogance. There is a story in the text about a sugarcane vendor. A little girl asks her mother, Mom, my teacher says I need to study hard to become a human. Does that mean I'm not a human yet? The mother, a simple woman with a 9th grade education, laughs and says, Well, maybe you're only half a human. It's a joke, but is it? The father can't answer. The teacher can't answer. Because we have confused biology with philosophy. Aristotle called man a goal-seeking animal. Paulo called man a creature in search of meaning. The book argues that what separates you from a chimpanzee or a houseplant isn't your opposable thumbs. It is le sang, your purpose, and lo-fi, righteousness. If you are just eating, sleeping, and reproducing, you are biologically successful, but philosophically, you might not have started being a human yet. This brings us to the concept of the conscience. And this is where the book gets heavy. The author argues that for a true human, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, higher than one's conscience and dignity. Think about Socrates. The man is sitting in a cell. He has been sentenced to death. He could escape. His friends have bribed the guards. He could run away and live out his days in exile. But he chooses to drink the hemlock. Why? Because to run away would be to betray his principles. He prioritized righteousness over his own biological survival. He proved that the inner world, the architecture of his soul, was more real to him than the physical world. Now, if Socrates feels too dusty and ancient for you, let's talk about the movie Avatar. James Cameron's blockbuster. Think about the protagonist, Jake Sully. He is a human. Biologically, he belongs to Earth. But he fights against his own species to protect the Gnostics on Pandora. Why? Because his compatriots were wrong. They were unjust. This is a massive point the author makes, and it's controversial. He challenges the slogan, "The fatherland is everything." He argues that humanity is greater than compatriots. A right human follows the call of conscience even if it means opposing their own group, their own tribe, their own people. If your tribe is committing a crime, and you stay silent because they are my people, you have failed the test of being a human. So, how do we measure this? How do we know if we are passing the test? The book draws a line in the sand between two types of people, the autonomous human, con nui tu tri asterisk, and the slave human, con nui by tri asterisk. This is the most critical distinction you need to understand today. An autonomous, free human is governed by an internal court. A slave human is governed by external policing. Let me give you an example. Imagine a traffic light at 3 a.m. on a deserted road. There are no cameras. There are no police. If you stop at the red light, why do you do it? If you stop because you are afraid a cop might be hiding in the bushes, you are a slave human. Your behavior is dictated by fear of external punishment. But if you stop because you respect the rule of law, because you value your own safety and the potential safety of others, because you made a covenant with society to follow the rules, then you are an autonomous human. You are governing yourself. The author talks about the bribe refuser. There are people who don't take bribes because they are terrified of going to jail. That's not virtue, that's just risk management. Then there are people who don't take bribes because they physically cannot stomach the idea of compromising their integrity. They couldn't look at themselves in the mirror. That is autonomy. There's a beautiful, tiny story about two sisters sharing a cake. The older sister cuts the cake. One piece is clearly bigger. She slides the bigger piece to her brother and takes the smaller, crumpled piece for herself. She does it secretly. She doesn't want praise. She doesn't want her brother to feel indebted. She does it because her happiness comes from a private, deep pride in doing the right thing. She needs no audience. Her self-respect is the only audience she needs. That is the essence of being a human. It is the ability to stand alone, governed by your own values, regardless of whether the world is watching or not. But, and there is always a but, the book pivots here. It says, okay, you have the head. You have the autonomy, the intellect, the values. But is that enough? We move into the second chunk of the book, which deals with the heart. The author argues that you can have a liberal head, an enlightened mind, but if you don't have a soulful heart, you are still incomplete. In fact, you might be dangerous. The term used is kai tam, opening the heart. The author warns of a condition called clinical death of the soul. You see people walking around, making money, driving cars, but they are dead. They are clinically dead because they no longer vibrate before beauty. They no longer tremble at pain. They feel no indignation toward evil. They are emotionally flatlined. We have to talk about apathy. The book calls this the red alert on humanity. And the examples given are gut-wrenching. Do you remember the story of EU? It happened in China, back in 2011. A 2-year-old girl wanders into a market street. She gets hit by a van. The van drives off. She is lying there, bleeding. Over the next 7 minutes, 18 people walk past her. 18. Some look and turn away. Some steer their bicycles around her broken body. 18 human beings failed to be human. Finally, a scavenger, a trash collector, pulls her to safety. But here is the kicker, and this is the part that haunts me. The author points out that the limit of apathy wasn't just the 18 people who walked by. It was what happened after. Neighbors mocked the trash collector. They accused her of doing it for fame. They accused her of wanting money. Their souls were so twisted, so darkened by cynicism, that they couldn't conceive of a selfless act. They had to project their own selfishness onto her to make sense of the world. That is what a dead soul looks like. The author brings it closer to home with a story from Vietnam, the Cat Tuong Salon case, where a doctor botched a surgery and threw the patient's body into a river to hide the evidence. While searching for that body, authorities found other bodies, unclaimed, unknown. The public was obsessed with the famous victim, but totally indifferent to the nameless dead floating right next to her. This is selective empathy. We only care when the cameras are rolling. The author quotes Einstein, who said the world is not dangerous because of those who do evil, but because of those who look on and do nothing. There is a trap of being harmless. You might say, I'm a good person. I don't kill, I don't steal. But if you are indifferent? If you are hollow? You are not harmless. You are the soil in which evil grows. So, how do we fix this? How do we build a complete human? The book introduces the 3 bags theory. Imagine you are carrying 3 bags through life. Bag number 1, the material bag. This is your physique, your money, your house. Most people spend 99% of their energy filling this bag. Bag number 2, the cultural bag. This contains your liberal head, your ability to think, and your soulful heart, your ability to feel. Bag number 3, the professional bag. This is your skills, but also your passion for your craft. The tragedy of modern society is that we have people with overflowing material bags who are culturally bankrupt. The author calls this intellectual infantilism. He goes through the groups of people we usually look up to and tears them down gently but firmly. The powerful? They often issue bad policies because they can't discern truth from flattery. The wealthy? Many are proud of money earned unethically. They are rich in cash but beggars in dignity. The degree holders? This is a sharp critique. Having a PhD doesn't mean you have a cultural bag. A degree can just be a piece of jewelry. If you have a doctorate but you throw trash on the street, or you cheat on your taxes, your degree is merely a decoration on an empty shell. We are living in an era, the author says, of the absence of great cultural figures. There are no Gandhis, no Lincolns walking among us right now. So what do we do? Do we wait? No. The author gives us the starfish story. You probably know it, but listen to it again in this context. A boy is walking on a beach covered in thousands of dying starfish stranded by the tide. He's throwing them back in, one by one. An old man walks up and says, "Kid, don't bother. There are miles of beach. You can't make a difference." The boy picks up another starfish, throws it into the waves, and says, "It made a difference to that one." This is the core of right work. You don't wait for the world to change. You don't wait for a leader. You act based on an inner calling. You don't follow the herd, and you don't act like a rebel just to be cool. You act because your internal compass, your liberal head and soulful heart, tells you it is the right thing to do. Change starts with me. It's a terrifying responsibility, but it is the only way. Now let's transition to the final piece of this puzzle. Happiness. If we do the right work, if we build the right human, what is the payoff? The author breaks happiness down into 3 levels. And I want you to audit yourself right now. Which level are you living on? Level 1 is to have. This is the happiness of possession. I have the car. I have the house. I have the money. It's fleeting and it's shallow. Level 2 is to give. This is the pursuit of respect. We want to be loved. We want to be admired. But the author warns us about the fallacy of means. We think money brings respect. It doesn't. It just buys obedience or envy. We think power brings respect. It doesn't. Look at how many leaders are despised the moment they leave office. We think even talent brings respect. Not necessarily. You can be a talented jerk. The only way to earn genuine respect, the book argues, is by bringing value and not causing harm. Kim bang ketch mang va kong gay. But then there is level 3. The highest level. To be. This is the pursuit of autonomy. This is the happiness of being yourself, living true to your nature. There is a story here about a contractor. He's doing a job for a Vietnamese client living overseas. The client offers to pay him before the job is inspected. The contractor refuses. He says, "No. Check the work first." Why? If he took the money, he gets level 1 happiness, the cash. If the client praises him, he gets level 2 happiness, the reputation. But by insisting on the quality of his work, by refusing to cut corners even when he could, he achieves level 3 happiness. He looks at his work and sees himself. He sees his own dignity reflected in the straightness of the wall, in the quality of the paint. The author gives us a metaphor here, the work mirror. We all have glass mirrors in our bathrooms to check our hair and our faces. But our work, our daily labor, is a mirror for our soul. When you do a sloppy job, when you cheat, when you phone it in, you are muddying that mirror. You have to look at a distorted, ugly version of yourself. But when you do your right work, when you pour your integrity into your craft, the mirror is clear. You see a human being you can respect. And that quiet, private pride? That is the highest form of happiness available to our species. So, where does this leave us? We've traveled from Nelson's Column in London to the beaches of the Starfish, to the inner sanctum of the conscience. The book Đúng Việc is telling us that the chaos of the world is a reflection of the chaos in our souls. We are trying to be professionals before we have learned to be citizens. We are trying to be citizens before we have learned to be humans. We are chasing the wrong bags. We are looking for respect in the wrong places. We are waiting for someone else to save the starfish. The author concludes this section with a nod to the fairy tale asterisk. The Emperor's New Clothes. Asterisk. We are all walking around naked, pretending we are wearing the finest robes of success, wealth, and status. We are terrified of the truth. But Kai Min, enlightenment, is simply the act of admitting you are naked. It is the act of opening the dark room of yourself to let the light in. It hurts. The light always hurts your eyes at first. Realizing you have been a slave human. Realizing you have been apathetic. Realizing you have been chasing level 1 happiness. It's painful. It's bitter medicine. But as Socrates said, the criminal who escapes punishment is the most miserable, because he remains soul-sick. The pain of realization is the first step of the cure. So, my challenge to you today, after absorbing all of this, is to ask yourself the hard questions. Look in the mirror. Not the glass one. The work mirror. Who looks back? Is it a human? A creature of compassion and autonomy? Is it a citizen? Someone who understands their duty to the whole? Is it a professional? someone who works with integrity. England expects that every man will do his duty. The universe expects that every human will do their right work. Start filling your cultural bag. Open your heart to the pain and the beauty of the world. And for God's sake, if you see a starfish, throw it back in. Not for the audience, but for yourself. Thanks for listening. Go do the work.